Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Blowhole. It's been a couple weeks for us since we recorded, since some of our shit was blowing up in our face, but we'll talk about that shortly. Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
This is exciting. I'm real excited today. I got to tell you guys, because I'm probably going to annoy this poor bastard over here. Jonathan Mark, psychic medium. Is it medium, right?
Yep.
So listen, man, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And it's like a fucking restaurant that interviews people, so we're very lucky to have you. Don't think of it any other way. But I got to tell you something. I almost want to shut the cameras off and just abuse you for hours, because this is a topic for me that I am very interested in.
Yep.
Now, I understand that there are... Medium is like... What, seeing the past or the future? Like, what's the difference between, like, the future premonitions and, like...
Yeah, so, like, a medium is really being, like, the person that connects you from the past to the, like, us, like, present, I guess. And a psychic is someone who, I guess, sees the future. My thing with psychic stuff, and, you know, this is just my take on it. It's a very difficult thing to, like, actually, like, pinpoint what's going to happen because of free will in someone's life. Like, if I'm telling someone to go left on the highway and then everything's going to be great, but then there's a roadblock or a car crash and you have to go right, well, that's free will and everything changed.
So you wouldn't be able to tell me if I'm going to go out of business in the next 6 months or have a defamation lawsuit because of this podcast?
So I probably could see if something like significant like that was going to happen.
Oh,
honestly.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
I think we got a new business for you, man. Instead of an attorney, we're going to have a fucking psychic to just be like...
Get an attorney, man. Like,
It's great stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so I am absolutely obsessed
yeah.
with life after death. Mm-hmm. I'm mentally
I am
ill when
too.
it comes to it.
No.
Like, I want the answers, right? So
Yeah.
I get into, like, quantum physics and neuroscience, and I try and find the contradictions between the two, right?
Yeah.
Because there's the concept is that the mind sometimes can be a receiver of the soul.
Yeah.
That's one of the arguments that quantum
Yeah.
physics is starting to come up with, right? And there's what the fuck is he guy? There's a physicist and an anesthesiologist, Stuart Hameroff, that together they like found these microtubules inside the brain
Yeah.
that they're trying to pinpoint now as the possible receptors. Wow. Then there's the other argument that the brain, or that the mind and the soul is a construct of the
Yeah.
brain and the mechanisms that are in there. But as somebody who's a medium,
Yeah.
I would think that I could skip all that bullshit
Yeah.
and cut right to the chase
Yeah.
with you. Because
Yeah.
let me ask you this one. I mean, you really know the answer.
I know the answer to, like, when someone comes through, right, and how they come through. I would tell you this, though. I'm still continuously being studied by, like, major like doctors and hospitals. They've been putting, like, stuff on my brain. So they'll put, like, a cap on my brain and they'll, like, have me read someone, right? Like, someone random. Like, they'll pick like the janitor or someone, right? But they want to see what part of the brain fires when I do it. So they've been doing a lot of studies, and just so people know, it is like the biggest places you could imagine doing it, because now there is such, I don't know, like, an urge to learn about it. I mean, like, I've never seen it before. Like, they've reached out to me like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, like right before COVID. Then COVID happened, and then obviously I couldn't go to the hospitals where they were doing the studies and stuff. And then again, they're like, we want you, like the other bigger mediums out there. And they were like, we're going to pick random people from across the world, and we want to see you read, and they want to see what part of the brain fires, how it goes, and, like, what part of the brain is kind of triggering. And to be honest, from what they told me, it's like a bean-sized part of my brain that kind of just like it starts slow, then it starts pulsating really fast, and then when I'm done, it continues like pulsating, and then it stops. Because they wanted to see if it's a memory gland, like if they put stuff in my memory, or if it's something completely different, and it's completely different. And it freaks me Can I curse? Like,
Yeah,
curse.
really?
Yeah, curse.
You don't know us?
Yeah.
So,
Oh God.
so
Yeah.
does this lead you to believe that the soul is more universal.
Yeah, definitely.
And that essentially the mind is like a television.
Yeah, I would think so, because when I do these readings, and a lot of the readings are for people across the world, they all come through the same. And even based on religion, they all come through the same. So like when people are like Christian, Lutheran, Jewish, Buddhist, they literally all come through the same. So yeah, it's kind of nuts.
So how old were you when this started to happen? And like what? I mean, it must have freaked you the fuck out.
Oh my God, it freaked me the fuck out. I was probably like 4-ish.
Wow.
And so what comes to you? It's like flashes. It's almost like
Oh, dude.
Like, is someone right here on me?
Yeah.
I feel it always, a presence,
It's
a
just-
heaviness
Yeah,
on me.
no, I'll tell you, man. It's kind of fucked up. So my aunt passed away when I was 6 months old. I never met her ever in my life. Like, obviously, I was 6 months, so I don't really have like true memories of her. So when I was about 4 years old, around that age, it was Easter Sunday. My whole family was there, whatever, and my grandfather, my aunt's dad, he was there, and I said, Susan's here. Her name was Susan, or I kept calling her Susie. And they're like, oh, that's cute. Like, I'm a kid. They think I have an imagination. I see pictures of her around the house. They're like, this kid has an imagination, whatever. And then I kept saying, like, she's pulling on a jacket, like a jean jacket. And I didn't know how to say jean jacket, so I was pointing at my pants and, like, grabbing my jacket, saying, like, she's holding this. And my grandfather's like, what the fuck is he talking about? So my mom walks over and starts like crying, like just starts crying. And my grandfather's like, why are you crying? And my mom's other sister was there. Long story short, they lived together for like after college in Queens. And then when she got cancer, she lived with my mom. And when they were healthy, there was just one jean jacket that they would steal from each other, like back and forth. So when the service happened and the service was over and they're about to take the casket and put it in the car and stuff, my mom like secretly walked in, like while everyone was waiting in the car to follow, and put the jean jacket in the casket. So when she was buried, she was warm. Didn't tell her other sister, didn't tell her grandfather, her father. And my mom starts like profusely crying, right? And then at that point, they were like, that's kind of fucked up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not normal. Like, that's kind of fucked up. So as I got older, I was seeing more of her, like of what she specifically was wearing. Like I was seeing her like how I see you guys, which is like not how it is like now when I do readings and stuff. But so then I was seeing stuff like as I got older in my teenage years and stuff, I was seeing things about my family that I wish I never kind of saw and learned about some family members and stuff. Because when I was younger and I was seeing it, I didn't really understand what it was. And then when I got older and shit, like I was like, that's not great. Like what happened?
So you essentially, when you're doing a reading, you're like, that guy's a fucking scumbag.
Yeah, I had one yesterday. Dude, I had one yesterday, man. I had a reading where someone's stepfather did horrible things and never spoke about it to her mom, her sister, to no one. And it was a
I think we should shut this off and call it a day. Then, 'cause I'm out. I'm kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, it was messed up, and it definitely plays on my mental psyche too now because of like the intensity of like stuff that comes through. I mean, she came like when she came for the appointment, whatever. She was like the nicest and happiest person. So I thought it was gonna be like an like a nice like loving reading, and it just like instantly like within 3-4 minutes I saw some like horrible stuff, and and to be like I had to say it in a very soft way because I didn't want to shove something down someone's throat that is so tough, but it was difficult, and it always is, but yeah.
Wow.
How do you see it? Like what? I mean, do you hear voices? Is it?
So basically, it's like Pictionary, right? Like I'll see, like when I stare off, I'll see like symbols. It started as symbols, and now I always tell people like imagine it's like screenshots on your phone. Like they do screenshots. So if I was to do a reading and I'm gonna use my name as an example, they start flashing me like a picture of me in my head, I'll know the person's name who's coming through is Jonathan. Like that. So like that's how they do. So they relate it to people that I know. So if someone's mom's coming through and it's Kathy, right? They'll flash someone who I know who's Kathy. So they'll just flash it like that.
That's Andrew's mother's name, and that's wow. His mother passed away like last month.
But now, so do you have to get into like a meditative type of state, or? I mean, are you always successful? Sometimes maybe not. I mean,
So basically, I tell people it's kind of like when you are about to play like a sports game, like you get in the zone kind of. I have to meditate before to get into that.
So it's not like you're going out to dinner and the fucking waiter walks
can
up
you
to you
shut
and
it
you're
off?
like, oh shit, your brother's.
No, dude, it happened, man.
It does.
Oh, so you can't
Bro,
shut it off. Yeah.
It happened a couple times where I felt a little like maybe I should say something to these people because like their son was coming through and stuff, and I felt like I wanted to say like, you know, your son is here, and like saying his name, and it backfired because some people don't want it. Like, you know, some people want it
tough.
It's tough, and it's private, and you're invading like their privacy. And if they want a reading, it should be in like a private like setting. I shouldn't say it in like a public setting in front of like so many people.
So you're learning how to manage this gift.
100%.
I mean, you're a young guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I'm 46 years
Yeah.
old. I make fucking mistakes every day, like on the podcast a few weeks ago. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Britannia Yachting Center.
No, he
I
is
I really
sorry.
am. I
Oh,
fucked
God,
up on
he's
that
sorry.
one, but that's another story. Anyway,
God.
listen, we're always learning.
Yeah.
We're always,
Yeah.
right? And to have this gift, this is like,
You're like saving people though internally too that are just going through like hell probably since their loved one passed away, like living in a darkness.
Yeah.
You give them the light.
can
it's
you,
tough.
I mean, can you just communicate with random spirits on your
wish.
own and get like answers to questions that you might be curious about? Like,
I fucking wish, man. Like
Right.
I can't like read myself because then it's like I'm going off of memory, right? It's like, and like that's what I tell people with like family members. It's so hard to read people that you know, especially family, because then at a certain point you're going off of like memories and stuff. You're not going off of like, because when you do a reading, the whole purpose is to blank your mind. Like you can't have any extra thoughts in your mind because
Right,
then
okay.
it fucks up the reading. Because like if I'm having an argument with my fiance or whoever, right, and then all of a sudden the reading goes very heavily into like relationship stuff because of that. And it's like you can't have anything going into a reading. It will really fuck it up. Like,
Wow.
I mean, really, unless you're completely full of shit, and it doesn't sound like it, and I honestly believe in what you're
I
saying,
believe in all. Yep.
you are giving concrete evidence
yeah. I mean,
that we don't end.
Yeah.
And that to me
Yeah.
is like,
It's comforting.
that's the most, how has that changed your life? Like, has that changed your fears and anxieties towards the rest of your life? I mean, does it
Yeah.
give a little like, it's like, here I am killing myself every day trying to make money. And really, what's the fucking point? Who gives a shit?
Right,
I'm
right,
fucking, when I'm dead, I'm dead.
Right.
And I'm going to go somewhere else. And
Right.
reincarnation.
Yes.
There's a lot of talk. I forget the doctor's name, Brian something. It's there's a book, Many Lives, Many Masters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the past life regression therapy.
Yep.
And it's interesting, and the concept is that we're supposed to evolve as spirits to become like a master spirit. Do you have any insight into something like that? Is that
Yeah, man. I think one of the people in there, their kid had like a past life from like World War II or something.
Yes, the kid with the airplane.
The fighter pilot.
Yes.
I met them.
Oh yeah.
You met
Wait,
them.
I remember when you did.
Yeah.
I feel like
You did.
Yes.
Yeah, I met them. Yeah. And like, because like I also like, as much as I can do, like I still have questions too, because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, I want to know from his perspective, from like, you know, so many different perspectives. But I spoke to him and
James.
yes,
That
yes.
is-
I,
yeah.
I met him through Kate Casey, who has a podcast too. She has a very like large like podcast, and she was like, you have to speak to like, you know, me, and she's like, you need to speak to him. Like, it's one of those where like it would benefit the both of you
Wow.
kind of to talk to each other. So she set it up like, you know, because she's, you know, awesome like that. And we spoke, and I wanted to hear the experience of the kid, and he was like telling me. And so, yeah, so basically what like happens is there's like 7 levels, supposedly. I don't know. There could be 10, there could be 8. I don't know. Right. But supposedly there's levels in the afterlife. Right. And the higher you are, the more content, or like the more spiritually advanced you are, to not want to come back because you've like, you know, not conquered, but you've kind of like felt like you did what you needed to do. Right.
How did you get that information?
Okay, so basically, I spoke to other mediums and stuff because, like, you know, I just wanted to hear like their thoughts on it as well. But also from doing readings and stuff, I could tell when some come back like this, and when some don't give a shit to come back because they were such a good person and did such good things in their life that they're not in any rush to come back. And I always tell people this, and I, of course I could be wrong. I've never died to my knowledge, so I just don't know. But like the first level is like what we could perceive as like hell, I guess, is what people want to perceive like heaven and hell, whatever. But from my knowledge is the people that commit murders, do horrible things, stuff like that. They're on that first level because they have to watch who they affected. They affected their family and another family. So they have to watch who they affected until they're passed, and then they reunite, and then you have a second chance kind of to come back, is from what I was told. But when I do readings and stuff, I can see typically when there's bad people and like they're not coming back, Yeah. And there's certain people that want to come back that die and they're ready to come back like tomorrow. But when they come back, I tell people.
So you're saying like if it was like an evil person doesn't want to come through because what, shame or something like that?
No, they'll come through and I'll say like a few messages from them to like intimate messages, not like, they're not good people. Like I would say what they did and how they affected and what like all that stuff. But then I kind of let them go because it's like I don't want to talk to someone that is like kind of like when I read Gabby, Brian Laundrie came through, right?
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to fucking talk to this dude.
Yeah.
Like, like when I was reading Nicole, Gabby's mom, he came through. Oh. And I was like,
I mean, can we like what did he say? What the fuck?
He was basically showing me his side of things and like kind of what happened. And he wasn't justifying it, but he was basically showing to me like involvement from family and how they like stuff like that, right? And then Gabby was showing me kind of what she like. There was like a lot of different like things, and I said to Nicole, I was like, I'm not talking to him. Like, there's no point to. You want answers from Gabby. You don't want it from him. No. Like, you want her like her perspective, her side, and stuff.
Stupid young couple just gone wrong, impulsive behavior
stupid,
that just
stupid, man. He's just a jealous guy,
right?
Just a very jealous guy. And like honestly, like I love the police and stuff. They didn't do their job in Utah when like they did the domestic thing. They just like left.
I know they left.
Right.
They said, okay,
when
go
they
on your way.
over,
yeah, they just like separated them. And then, like, they're like, are you guys good? And they're like, yeah, we're fine. They kind of separated, and then they fucking left.
Then they left.
And then they just went back together. Like, they just came back together, and then, like, the next day or two is when it happened.
Yeah.
That is so horrific.
Yeah.
But so having the opportunity
videos.
for her to come through. So you spoke with her.
Yeah.
And, I mean, is she at peace?
She's 100% at peace. Like, I will say this. She came through smiling, at peace, and happy, and that's the biggest thing for me. I didn't want her to come through, like, distraught, like, upset, because the truth is, like, they hold their personality on the other side. Like, I'll tell people, like, when someone comes through, I'll be like, yo, they're, like, very... like I won't say yo, but I'll be like, they're very like stoic, like they're very reserved, like they're talking, and then you have people that won't shut the fuck up. And then, like,
that would be my family. That would be my family.
And then I'm like, you have like two sides of like different things. God. So like then people really like I could tell people enjoy the personality side of things too, because they're like, I feel like I'm speaking to X, Y, and Z. Like they're like, if you said that this person was talkative, they'd be like, I know you were full of shit, because in this life they didn't talk.
Say shit.
Like they would just sit and smile and just like be very reserved. And then they're like, this person, if you said was quiet, they would come and stand on the table and slam drinks and be the center of the party. So they're like, certain things like that. I tell people it's like how you can know if someone is like doing their thing.
And so from
a
Pictionary perspective, if you get somebody who is a party animal, you may get like flashes of like beer and shit like that.
Yeah, so basically my little sign for that is they stand and they start cheersing me with cans. They just start going like this to me, like constantly in my head. And I'm like, all right, this guy
was a good time.
Yeah, this guy was a good time.
It was a good time, yeah.
He like, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool.
He's fucking great.
I know. Wow.
And so if you go back to the 7, 8, 9 levels,
yeah,
right? And if you took that concept as you're learning and interviewing other mediums and even the past life regression and trying to get an understanding for yourself, now you take that information and you go into other readings. Are you now kind of sizing up some of these spirits and be like, that guy's a more higher evolved spirit?
At times I do, yeah. At times I'll be like, this guy definitely like, is content with like the life that he lived is kind of how I view it versus someone who maybe is not as content with it and wants to come back like immediately. So then I'll know from there like who's spiritually higher or not.
Would you say now, based on all that information,
Yeah.
it almost simplifies like our purpose,
100%.
right?
Oh my God. Like
yeah.
I wish, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And it's almost like if we're looking for what is the answer of life, well, I'm going to fucking tell you right here. And you tell me if I'm wrong. Remove the ego, right?
Yep.
Don't be afraid.
Yep.
Because fear is from the ego.
Right.
Resentment is from the ego, holding
Right.
grudges. So if you can remove the fucking ego and just stay in the moment and be content,
Right.
that's life.
That is 100% correct.
That's the point.
That's 100% correct.
And
When-
if you die, then you're not going to come back to this piece of shit place if you're Noah.
choose if you
right?
want.
Is that it?
could be.
Can I die here, please?
Could
Get the
be.
fuck out of here.
Could be.
Guy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. That is wow.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I
It's,
want to cry. I'm so overwhelmed and like happy and like I don't know. Just I'm like. So
Yeah,
into
I don't.
this.
I'm like,
so into this.
it's speech, like you're speechless when like, because, so let's even take this a step further.
sure.
Are you able to ask other inquisitive questions to some of these people, like sign it, maybe like throw in a little bit of your own curiosity when you're like asking them, like, is there a God? Who is God? Like, I mean, what knowledge do you have on that? Like,
I wish I did, man. I don't want to lie to people and say like there is like I have knowledge to it because I definitely don't. The what I said before is it's like kind of like the only knowledge I do have is all religions and all people come through the same way, same everything. So that's the only thing that I can kind of like piece together from it is that it's universal up there. It's not like you're sticking with the Jewish people, the Christians, the Lutherans, the Protestants, the Buddhists, like everyone is together.
I think like each individual religion is a watered down version of the concept anyway, right?
I would probably assume, yeah, but because when I first started doing readings, I was a little concerned, like years ago. I was like, is one religion not going to come through at all? Is one going to, whatever, like, I just didn't know because I'd never experienced that, like, by doing readings, I mean.
So how many readings have you done now?
A shit ton.
How many do you do a week?
I do probably like, I try not to like kill myself, so probably around like 7, and then with some cases involved in there, yeah.
Jesus.
the podcast.
And so like I've been like
podcast.
listening.
Tell everybody, or few listeners,
No,
tell us
come
where they
on.
can find you. Obviously, the
Yeah.
podcast and
yeah, that is fascinating.
Yeah, so I have a new podcast. It's called Connect with Jonathan Mark, and it's wherever you get podcasts, like on Spotify, Apple, all that stuff.
So tell aspiring podcasters like our fucking idiot selves over here, and obviously, you're more interesting than behind the scenes
No
of
fucking
flinging
way.
tacos.
Oh
No
my
fucking
no,
way.
yeah.
However,
no,
what is the signing process like?
Yeah.
To go ahead and start to move into, like, I imagine you signed a big contract with them, right?
Yeah.
There's money involved, there's legal involved, blah blah blah. There's future goals and things like that. I mean, what is that process like? How did you get there? Did they approach you? Did you?
So basically, I've been a little like burnt in the Hollywood space for like a little bit. And I feel like that's a common story for a majority of people. So I don't want like I tell people I don't want sympathy or anything because it's like I went out there and I did it and I tried to do it, whatever. So basically what had happened was I was doing podcasts. Like people would reach out a lot for me to do like shows. And I started doing like smaller shows and it became like bigger and bigger and bigger. And I went on this show called Call Her Daddy, which is a really big show. And then all of a sudden things started like exploding a little bit with like, and I've always had like TV contracts, like holding deals. I always tell people it's like shopping deals and holding deals. I had it with like NBC at one point, like
And kind of like we're talking about with like you sign talent agreements for people. They
yeah.
shop you for a year.
you have a year, and then if something happens, they extend it for 30 days,
Right.
and it's and it continues. But
But it's very hard
Oh, dude, it's fucking like there's politics in it. It's
Right.
it's a
like
little,
anybody can have a talent agreement. It's
Yeah.
right.
yeah. Like I always say it's like from Entourage, the show. Ari would be
that.
like, my fucking cousin had a holding agreement with like NBC, and he's a fucking janitor. Like,
Right.
And I always tell people because I used to think it is a big deal, but so basically I've been through like all this stuff, and then I was with an agency, and they were very focused on TV because like Tyler Henry at the time, and there was Teresa.
Right.
So it was difficult for me to come in, and they had their shticks, I guess. It's like their lanes, and
Kind of a saturated space.
exactly. And they're like, you're already reading like celebrities, and you're doing this stuff. So it's like, what's different about you? They're like, it's already being done. So it's like, we can't have two of the same fucking thing.
Damn.
And so I didn't tell them about the true crime shit. Like I really didn't, because again, I didn't think people cared. But anyway, I started doing podcasts, and then I would do these shows, and people were enjoying the shows, and they were on these big, like all these bigger shows. So then the network reached out to my manager, and he's like, what is he doing? Like, is he doing anything? Like, he's going on these shows. Like, he's not promoting anything aside from himself. Like, what is... So it turned out that they sent a contract over, but people think it was like a 1, 2, 3 thing. I fucking promise you it was not. It was like, I got it in January, and I started in August. Like,
Right. Yeah, you did start in
Yeah,
August.
I started like the second week in August. Like, and it was like they wanted to hear how it would be on a podcast. So I had to do a test episode. And then they had to send it, because podcast one is Live Nation. So like they had to send it to Live Nation, and Live Nation had to be like, this is whatever. So once I got the approval, then it was like the concept of the show. What's the show going to be? Like all this stuff.
So
Yeah, wow.
when you now get to that point
Yeah.
in the podcast, is there all of a sudden like directors and writers and people that are inserted into your life that are like guiding you on...
Kinda. It's kind of like producers. I have producers now, but they kind of are just like, they're there on the like recordings, but they kind of let me just do my thing, and then at
Then
the
they take it, they hack it up how they want it to be, they
Exactly.
package it accordingly,
yeah,
and shove
and then
it
they
out.
send it to like, because they want me to do celebrities. Like that was their thing, was like celebrities. So when you like, people don't get this, and like I haven't really said this, it gets kind of difficult to do the readings for celebrities because they don't want shit out there, man. Like they really are like, don't put that out there. Like, this is my personal stuff. Like, there's
Right.
already too much out there. So some of the readings, like, cut and jump, and people like it, the sequence of events doesn't make sense. It's because like their teams it has to go to their PR team, and then their management team, and then everyone has to fucking check it off. And it's like people like take minute 38, 22 seconds from this out, and then you have to chop it up and stuff. So I'm doing it because I'm super thankful that people want to come on and stuff. But now I've been doing from the beginning, like these listener readings where like, people will email, and then they'll pick a random person, and I could say whatever I want. Like they can't like,
Okay, good.
They can't be like, take this out. Like the whole point is you're getting a free reading and like whatever. So, but because of that process, and with the producers, and like everyone has a vision, I kind of have to roll the punches because I don't have any like leverage. So I'm just sitting there and kind of just like hoping things like pan out. But it's tough, man. Like the booking, I'm sure you guys deal with, like the booking of people is just a pain in the ass, man.
Yeah.
Like the pain in the ass. And like, I have to reach out to people that I know that are, in the public
We're gonna
space.
throw some people at you.
Yeah.
We have some people. We'll throw
We
Carl
do.
at him, Big
Actually,
Ed. I've texted Chris Stefano.
We have
Yeah.
Big Ed is I don't know if you watched 90 Day Fiance at all.
I definitely know of him.
Yeah, you know him.
Ashley, he's coming back in 2 weeks. He's staying in my house.
No way.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
staying in his house.
And
That's
I love the
nuts,
guy.
bro.
The guy's fucking
He's
great,
so
man.
Yeah,
great.
he seems
We love
cool.
him.
He seems cool. Yeah.
We
my
we
God.
hit it off, and
We
he's like,
did. All of us
I'm gonna
did.
come back. He goes, can I stay at your house? I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's
If you
3
want.
kids, a couple
Yeah.
bunny rabbits, and
Yeah,
fucking.
yeah.
Bunny rabbits.
Yeah.
But he'll be back.
You should
So-
introduce them in a few weeks.
Oh, honestly,
Yes.
you live in Comac, she said.
I do.
You still live there?
Yep. I bought a house there.
You're
Yeah,
a fucking our neighbor.
Yeah, so
Yep.
come when
Great,
Big Ed
man.
comes.
I want to be your
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
friend now.
Yeah.
I like
Giving
this
you
guy.
guys,
This
yeah.
guy's
You're
awesome.
in life, man.
Yeah,
You're for
very
life.
good.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us about at least one experience of any of the celebrities and
Yeah.
what it was like? And
Yeah, so Like as far as like dealing with them, or
Well, I mean, what you can't. I don't know. Like who was like?
I'll tell you one.
A good experience that you had where like this happened to them.
Yeah, I'll tell you one. So when I went on Call Her Daddy, which is like a huge show, they wanted me to do a reading before, right? And then they were going to do the episode, kind of like do the reading first, and then do the interview after, whatever. Like that's what they said. So I think she thought that the reading was going to be like, using her name, Grandpa whatever's here, and he loves you and kissing you, blah, blah, blah. It turned out to be really intense, like really, really intense. And she was an amazing person. Like she's a good person, but she said, so I was under the impression that the reading was going to go out with it. And I'm okay with that. She didn't do it, but she took it out because she didn't want people to hear this stuff. Wow. And it kind of like was a little shitty thing for me because I wanted people to hear that because like that's the whole purpose of me coming on.
I mean, that's the credibility, authenticity part.
Yeah. So like she put in the intro, she was like, it was too intense. It was too personal for my family. Like I don't.
Oh, you could appreciate that.
Yeah. She's like, I don't want to share some of the stuff, but I will say like people were like, she's, whatever. She was like the nicest fucking person to me.
She seems like she's so cool. Just down to earth.
Now, who was that?
So she was at Barstool, and then she broke off to do a Spotify deal, which was like huge. But like another one too, I did recently on mine, Italia Ritchie. She was on Designated Survivor.
Mm-hmm. Good show.
Yeah, she was like the nicest person. But I was doing the reading, man. Like this is gonna sound so fucked up, but I was doing the reading, and this guy comes through, and I said his name, whatever, all this crap, and I'm literally just doing it as if it's like a normal person. I fucking find out that it was her co-star from Designated Survivor that died in January, and I was just talking, like I was explaining his personality, like certain things and whatever, because it's such a fast reading. It's not like an in-depth reading, so I have to kind of like. We only have 45 minutes. Like I have to like go. Like I have 30 minutes of talking and 15 minutes of that. Like it is like, because I was pulling in other family members. Then this person came through and she like reached out to me on the side. She's like, dude, like that's I think it's Anton or whatever the guy's name is. And she was like, he's my co-star and he died in January. Like this past January. Like this is still like 8 months ago. Wow. Like, so I've had like cool experiences like that. I had cool experiences. I just read Sia, the singer.
Oh,
really?
She's cool.
Yeah.
She's cool.
She was awesome.
Snooki, right? You did?
Yeah, Snooki's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to be her friend. I want to be her
Nicole's
friend.
fucking awesome, man.
I want to be Nicole's friend.
She was awesome. Audrina is a close friend from the Hills. Pete Weber, The Bachelor. I know you guys have a Bachelor connection here too.
Yeah.
No, my brother-in-law was just on The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
He's probably your age too. He's around your age.
Yep. Funny.
It's fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm very lucky. Like
I mean, are you ever not successful at a reading?
So I will say this. The not successful part is like if you come to a medium and you want to hear from someone specific and someone else comes through, that could happen. So to someone else, that's a not successful reading. Right. So it's like...
I mean, what's going to happen is going to happen.
Exactly. And I try to tell people that, like, I can't control who's like louder, who's going to talk more as much as I wish I could. But to those people, that's an unsuccessful reading. If they come...
And again, going back to our conversation, that might be something like a level 7 spirit who's like, I'm good, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'll see you soon.
Right.
Like, I'm not, I know you think you need this, but it's all good.
Yeah, and it's also like the person who comes through typically comes through for a reason. It's like a pretty specific reason to like deliver a pretty like specific, intense message. Like they're not coming through just be like, hey, I'm your neighbor and like what's cracking. Like
I'm sure throughout the process.
Yeah.
People might have, in order to comfort them, wanted to ask about the death process.
Yeah.
Like if somebody was like, all right, tell me, like, I wasn't afraid, it didn't hurt, things like that. Is there similarity? Like, is the whole white light tunnel thing like a common...
Bro, it's fucking crazy because I'm sure you guys heard like the near-death experience stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So I spoke to this Olympian skier. He was at Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and he was at like the top of the peak with his sons or whatever, had a massive heart attack, like massive, like at the top where the choppers like really couldn't get to him. And he was pronounced dead. Like he flatlined for a while. And each person that I've spoken to about that and then communicating with these people are virtually the same. It's your loved ones. It's kind of like if you're looking at a white tunnel.
Right.
And then there's your loved ones in the back, but one specifically will come over and like pull you to that side. And every person, and they don't know each other, said it was the most comforting feeling. They didn't want to come back. Like
that's what everybody says.
Yeah,
I listen to probably 3 of those a day. I'm a fucking lunatic.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Stephanie Arnold, who had a show on Netflix about the 30 seconds, whatever, and she said the same thing. Like everyone says the same thing. So to me, it's like it must be like it's sad for us, but it's beautiful for them. Like that's what I always tell people. It's like they get to reunite with like their family and stuff. And it's sad for us because we're losing someone. Yeah. But like,
are you able to get an idea of like what it's? I mean, like they're not like sitting in a living room fucking eating chicken wings and watching the football game. Like, where are they?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
What are they like? I mean, do you have an insight into that?
So I kind of do, kind of don't. Like, they're kind of like a ball of energy, man. Like, they kind of are like this, and they can travel at the speed of light. Like, we can't even conceptualize like how fast they move and how they do stuff. So when I was doing like these tests with these doctors and stuff, they would have one of the tests was, which was interesting. I was on the East Coast. They picked someone on the West Coast, and we read someone that was either in Canada, Central America, wherever, right? And they wanted to see if we can get the same information at the same time or virtually the same time. And we were getting like similar stuff within like the same period of time, which means it was going back and forth between both because we weren't seeing each other like on Zoom or whatever. It was like my camera was on this person, their camera was on this person, and we had no idea. It's like a ball of energy.
That's an interesting point from quantum physics perspective because they talk about how, you know, like a particle can be in 2 spots at the same time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just interesting.
It's so interesting. No,
I mean, I don't know how I want to like be like, what do you do? Like, what do? You just fucking zip around like a ball of energy?
You always just try to protect and try to like watch over your loved ones. And by protecting, what I mean is like they're not gonna, as much as I wish they could move a bullet or do stuff like that, it's like there are instances where people are like, you know, for some reason I didn't go into the Twin Towers that day. Like I felt like I needed to stay home or like I needed to go check something. I missed the train because blah blah blah. They always give you these gut feelings, like these gut in like feelings where, you know, if you're doing something and you have a weird feeling, I tell people like a gut feeling, like honestly listen to that because that's your loved ones like trying to like kind of like.
So this was going to be one of my next questions.
Yeah.
Is this a type of power that everybody can actually possess?
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, some people are more in tune to it.
Yeah, so I basically phrase it like this. Everyone can sing, but not everyone can sing like Frank Sinatra. So it's kind of like we all can do it. It's just like how much can we push it to like a limit. So like I may be a medium, but you may be like an empath and you may be clairvoyant and that person may be whatever. Like no one's pretty much the same when it comes to it.
What are the differences?
So clairvoyant, I'm like the worst spiritual person, so I apologize to everyone. But clairvoyant is like someone who like basically opens a funnel and you're just like receiving, right? An empath is like if I'm sad, you're gonna feel my emotion and it's gonna stick with you. And
that's me.
And like if I'm nervous, you're gonna feel my nervousness. Like everything is different for each person.
What do you get terrible energy when Anne Marie walks in?
No, definitely.
I have good energy.
Fantastic energy.
Probably at first I did, but I have. You're a medium though, because I really like a reading one day.
Yeah, I am a medium. Yep.
You good?
I hope so.
I hope so. Pretty.
Yeah. You're impressed?
Well, just the conversation we're having is
amazing.
I got to tell you what I'm enjoying the most about this is because I feel like I'd said from a scientific and spiritual perspective.
Yeah.
Like you have to look at science. And science is like the biggest fucking devil's advocate against spirituality.
The biggest.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you look at like, Eastern philosophy and Buddhism and things. I mean, like, how do we go ahead and discount 4,000 years of Eastern philosophy with under 100 years of science?
Right.
And blah, blah, blah. But when you look at the difference of them and you go ahead and you go to the argument and you try and make your own assessment, you're like the deductive reasoning. You're like almost like the answer. It's like, okay, so here's this and this. They both make a little sense, but what's it? And then you come to you and you're like, well, pa.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty fucking wild. I feel like you're getting
comforting.
Yeah, and like just for like the science people, like NASA people come to me now. Like I've read like people from like NASA, MIT people and stuff.
It is really the last couple of years. It has been a significant movement.
In fucking sane. I will tell you the truth. Like leading up to the last couple of years, it's like going on these shows and stuff. You have to prove yourself to like these people because like spirituality at the time wasn't anything. And then all of a sudden, the last couple of years, it just like fucking like I don't even know how to explain it. It just like exploded to like.
You have no other choice because what's going on.
And like that's kind of what I tested to is because of COVID and people needed something to believe in, like and have faith in something.
But it's like, so if you were to fast forward 10 years down the road from now.
Yeah.
It seems at the pace that we've just started going in the last couple of years,
Yep.
it is almost guaranteed that the science argument of you die, the brain shut off, you're fucking dead, the end is going to be gone.
I'm like I said, I'm having these really big scientists in like the biggest hospitals like in the world doing studies on me and like other people. And if they're like doing this, there has to be something there.
Right.
Like, and like, that's kind of what I tell people. It's like, once a study comes out, then that's on them to come out.
Now, if you're trying to debunk the NDEs with a hallucination type of concept, right? And I know, so if like you can actually recreate an NDE. I've seen like things where they put people in like a chair and like fucking flash like something over a certain part of their brain.
Yeah.
And they can create like a hallucination type of a thing. But here's the things that are interesting. There are NDEs where it's like somebody passes away, they go see their brother, and they came back, and the brother's like, you have to go back, and they came back, and they didn't know at the time that the brother fucking died.
Yeah.
Like almost simultaneously.
Yeah.
And I mean, how do you explain that? Or how do you explain somebody who was born blind, never saw, and all of a sudden is like, I don't know, I saw this doctor in the room doing this. But like,
They've never actually seen,
and they've never seen, and the doctor's like, I had my gloves on, and I was like referring to like, I mean, so there are some NDE cases that you can't debunk.
No. Even like going back to the kid who I spoke to with the World War II,
James,
that is
like that. After speaking to like the father and whatever and them, I mean, I'm telling you, man, it was. I had chills like listening to him because he was saying names of pilots. Wow. He was like, and then they backtracked the names. Like this kid was like 3.
That case is probably the most compelling reincarnation case I've ever seen.
He was saying names. He was saying his own name, and he was saying how he died. They had to backtrack to records from World War II,
and then they brought him over there.
Yeah, they did. I saw that.
And he hooked up with his old fucking war buddies.
Yep.
Yes,
it
was insane, man. Like I was like talking to him, and I was like, I can't even like. I was speechless, man. I was just like, I can't speak about it. Like it was insane.
Wow,
it was nuts.
So based on this, I feel great. I'm pumped. I feel like my assessment is that many lives, many masters concept is like, that's it. It's like, we're here to fucking learn.
Correct. Yep.
And we come back if we have unfinished business.
Yeah.
And eventually we don't have to.
Right.
Wow.
Are there other worlds that people can go to? Do you have any experience and knowledge with that?
I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. Like the only thing I can like confidently say is that when we're like dead, like we're not actually like dead, I guess. Like in the sense, like people can still communicate. Like they're not, and like just so people know, they're not wearing like a white cape and like, you know, and going boo to people. Like that's not how it like happens. You typically like every person will see something when they're just going to sleep or just waking up because your brain is like the most like open at that time.
Well, that's the point. So, right, it's about when your mind is at the calmest state.
The calmest
is when I guess they talk. What's the concept is if you're trying to receive something in, but you can't because there's so much static going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's like you have to fine tune it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to shut
Bring it
the
down.
noise off.
Yeah, you got to shut it off.
And like that's what I was saying. Like when I do readings, I have to go into it with a blank. Like I can't go into it with anything. Like I have to meditate before, like my version of meditating, which is like obviously not great. I'm still learning too. But it takes me a couple minutes, like 5 minutes, and then I get in a zone, and then I sit down. And people will see this when I do readings. I always like close my eyes and I crack my neck, and that's my way of like shutting everything down for me. And then I like always just turn and like people. I always warn people when I do readings. Not that I look creepy because it's not that. It's not like I'm like possessed. My eyes are rolling and shit. But it's kind of like I look off to the side because I don't want to go off of people's reactions to anything. And I'm also like blanking out my mind and staring at nothing. So I'll just like focus on like a pin drop on the wall and just like my eyes won't move. And like it's just a way for me to like literally blank my mind out, because if I'm staring at a pin drop on a blank wall, I'm not looking at a pillow.
Thinking of
of like flowers, like how many petals are on the flower, and
exactly.
like because that's how my mind would go. I'd be like, there's like 6 flowers, there's like this petal, this one. Like my ADD would go nuts. So. And
That's
when I
your
do,
way,
and
Yep.
when I do readings, I'm in my most calm. Like my parents, when they watch me, when I go on like shows or stuff, they say that it's like a very different version of me. Like I get very like serious and like I could joke around, I drink, I have fun, all that shit. But like played lacrosse in college. I mean, like I was gonna be a cop, like all that stuff, right? And you know, when I do this, I'm just try to be as serious as possible because I don't want to play with someone's emotions at all, and they're vulnerable coming to me.
You ever sitting at home on the couch and your fucking mom's like, hey, can you ask grandma what she did with the...
Oh, God.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, and I tell her, I'm like, good fucking luck getting an answer because
Right.
like good fucking luck, man. Like,
I'm sure that happens.
Oh, dude, all the time.
Fucking Thanksgiving dinner and
All
Uncle fucking Johnny's like,
Yeah.
would you fucking ask my grandfather what the hell?
Dude, all the
my
time.
God.
Especially when like back in the day when like my cousins would bring like new boyfriends or girlfriends over, they'd be like, who's around me? Like that.
Oh,
like,
that question.
Like, and I'm
Who
sitting.
do I-
Guess I can't ask him that after we shut the camera off.
Yeah, no. So it's like one of those, and then I'll do it.
It's gotta be annoying though, right?
So it's gotten more annoying now, I guess, because of stuff that's happening. When I go out, people like I guess know who I am,
And they kind of
and like versus like when I could have just done whatever. So when I'm going to like Walt Whitman Mall or some shit, I see people just like making eye contact and like not breaking eye contact with me, and they'll kind of like follow me from like place to place to hope that I turn around and be like, hey, blah 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 blah, bye, I'm going to Lululemon now, like you know, like just shit, like
they think that's what they
and it's like, you know, it's kind of annoying, but it's flattering at the same time because they trusted me to do it, and
People
like
are desperate.
and they're desperate,
they're
and
desperate.
like, and that's what I tell people. It's like I bust my ass to get everyone in for a reading because I know people want it so bad, and who am I to like say no? Like I'm not going to say no. Like, you know, I'll do whatever I can for people, and you know, if they can't afford it, I make it work for them. I always make it work.
You're a good man,
so
huh?
good.
I'm trying,
You're a
man.
fucking good guy.
I'm trying.
Fantastic,
I
yeah.
try to make it work. I give away readings to people that can't afford it all the time. I'm like, come sit down for 20 minutes. I'm like, let's do this for 20 minutes. Like I try my best to like give back because I got this. So like I don't want to be like stingy with like what I have. I want to, but then I have to protect myself. If I'm doing it too much, man, I'll get burnt out. And
Of course, you gotta have boundaries.
Yeah,
I've been learning a little bit more about it.
It's so cool.
I mean, the fact that you're helping people. I mean, isn't that? I mean, as a master spirit, right? You would hope that. Isn't that what it's
all about, man. It's all
helping people,
bro.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's the best feelings when someone comes to me and they're shaking, like literally on like Zoom, they're shaking, and they're scared and whatever, and then they leave, and you can tell like a weight's been lifted off of their shoulders. And like to me, that's the best feeling, just to see someone that had issues. And I know I can't solve them with one reading, and I don't expect that. But to see them take a step in the right direction, that's like, it means the world to me.
But it's probably a rabbit hole for these people. They start getting answers, and then it just starts kicking up the next question.
Dude,
And
it's and like I'm probably the worst business person, as you could probably tell by giving away shit all the time. But I tell people, I'm like, don't keep coming back to me. I'm like, don't rely on me. Like, rely on like your human self to get through shit. Like, don't. So they can only come to me once every year and a half. Like, that's it. Like, you can't come back to me anymore. I don't want you coming back to me anymore. Like, I want you to deal with what you have to deal with, because I don't want it to be like,
have you had anybody doing that to you that's like kind of harassing in a way? Like, I need to know. I need to know. I need to know.
I can show you my fucking emails, man.
I figured.
Dude, it's bad. Like,
how far booked up are you?
It's gonna sound bad. I'm about 2 years, so like a 15,000 wait list right now.
Get the fuck out of here!
In, though? Can I get
Everyone has an in here, yeah.
Okay.
Holy shit!
That's great, man.
Thank you, yeah.
Amazing.
15,000 fucking people
Are
waiting 2 years.
And that's what gives me anxiety every time I do a reading, man.
I know.
I get anxiety from that shit, bro. I get anxiety, like, they waited and they make it known. The first thing they say to me goes, I waited 2 years for you. And
no pressure.
I'm like, my heart just starts like, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, like,
I'm
now
fuck.
the pressure's on.
This isn't like you could like duplicate build like a fucking medium
man.
franchise.
Exactly. You can't even like,
Right?
hey, now you're gonna be
Be like,
like,
all right, listen, I need you to go to Jersey today. And
yeah,
read
no,
it.
it's
Man,
you
it's
all the way.
crazy. And my mom does all my appointments for me, because I want to keep it within like my family, keep
That's
it like
But you've met other mediums.
yeah.
Can't you guys like start like a coalition?
Probably.
like
but-
a business, like the medium
no,
coalition?
man. I'm sure just like in every field, dude.
I'm such a fucking business Jew fuck that I am right now.
No, bro. And like every business, from what I'm, learning, is like people are very like, they want to stay in their lane and they don't want to help. And I've tried to get help and I tried to help, and it always backfires every time. It backfires. So now what I've been doing is I will talk to other mediums and stuff, but I just stay in my lane now.
So 15,000. They reach out to you via email?
Yeah. So
right,
it's
because you can't answer the phone.
No.
How
So
many emails you get a day?
I know a week I get about 300 a week, about 250 to 300 a week. Like, with like, and it fluctuates at times, like some slower than others, but relatively about 200, I'll say.
So how long has the podcast been going?
Oh, dude, it just started. Like, it just started.
It just started. How many
August.
I'm on
people are
episode-
listening?
I don't know my numbers, but when I post about it, I get like 50,000 views or something.
Unfucking believable.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Well, at least share
fantastic.
us over here, for the love of God.
Of course, man. Are you fucking
Unbelievable.
kidding? This is my hometown. I have to, man.
This is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so I want to introduce you to like, I'll talk to you off camera. I have people in mind for this. So like God
And we have
bless. I'm
people
just-
in mind for you too. So
I'm
Yeah.
fucking just pumped up. This is like
Yeah.
the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
The fact that you have that long of a wait list and you actually took the time to come to us.
So grateful.
I can't
No, dude.
I
So
can't thank you
grateful.
enough.
No, I can't thank you for having me.
Yes, he gets the free
Of course
food
he gets
order.
whatever the fuck he wants.
Whatever he
Feed this
wants.
guy.
God.
But we don't want to
God.
get him drunk because then he'll be clouded.
No, dude, it's worse, man.
Oh,
Is
they
it really?
probably
Oh my
won't turn off.
God, dude.
Really?
Yeah, because like the filter is gone. So I'll say whatever I got to say
Yeah.
without thinking about
No,
it.
but this stuff comes through though. Like
Stronger,
it's not,
man, stronger,
Really?
yeah.
I wonder if it's because you're drunk and you're shutting off
100%.
certain
Some of
part
that-
Dude, that's exactly it. You're drinking, and the parts of your brain that like
are annoying you.
are like annoying goes away. Like
So
goes away.
interesting. Because I stopped drinking a couple years ago, right?
Okay,
Because
awesome.
as a business person,
Yeah.
I would drink to shut my brain down.
Yeah.
Because it's just constantly bah, 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 bah.
Yeah.
And that was my outlet, which
Yeah.
is not a great outlet, so I
Yeah.
stopped. But I could see that now because when you're drunk, you're like a great white shark whose eyes are rolling in the back of your head. I'm just a
Literally.
lifeless creature.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it.
There's a lot.
I just wanted to shut off. So because you're shut off, you're now receptive.
the most. Yeah, the most. Like
No
and-
wonder I always felt like intuitively that like my family in the afterlife was just looking at me like, you better go home, you fucking degenerate asshole.
Go home, man.
This
Go
isn't
home.
a good idea.
Yeah, go home, man.
good
Yeah.
here.
Dude, it happens a lot, man.
Very cool.
Wow, very
Yeah.
cool.
Well,
Very
I got to tell
cool.
you, man, I feel like I got a lot of answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you
And
did.
I appreciate you,
Dude,
man.
I love this
Yeah.
space, man. Like,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
Come hang out
Anytime.
with us. Come do
Come on.
readings here, whatever you
Yeah.
want. This
Hey,
is
just
fucking
walk through the
chaos
door,
over
exactly.
here.
Yeah. just walk right in,
You know
honestly.
what I was thinking? I wanted to ask you. Could I do like a live event here with like the
Yes.
podcast?
What are you
Whatever you
kidding
want.
me?
Whatever you want.
No. Yeah, of course.
Well,
You're
I don't
doing
know,
it.
man. Like doing it, like this is sick,
Yeah,
man.
whatever
Like
you
I would
want.
love to do it here.
You got the brew.
Mi
you got
casa,
everything.
su casa,
Did
man.
you see the
Yeah.
brewery yet?
No.
Oh, we'll take. Yeah, we'll show you
We
around.
just redid it.
Yeah.
This is cool. Jonathan Mark, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you hear, follow this guy,
Thank
first
you.
off. Share us out there. We just hit 1 year, Ashley.
I know.
We did.
Wow.
Behind the
Anniversary.
Blowhole is 1 year old, and we didn't even do a 1 year episode because honestly, I wasn't sure I wanted to continue after the
Yeah, I was pretty
fucking.
wanting to give up too. We felt the
Nah,
same
you
way the
got it.
same day.
Yeah.
You gotta keep going,
Everybody was
man.
complaining. I was like, that's what you want.
Yeah.
I know, but I guess we just.
We got beat up pretty badly
Yeah. What happened?
the last month.
We just got
so,
beat up. People just.
So we'll talk about it briefly, but before we close out, it's we started the podcast because from a creative perspective, I was feeling a little bored and stagnant,
Yeah.
right? Like I like to build restaurants and I wanted to, and I love comedy. I love
Yeah.
to have a good time and crack jokes. My humor is seriously not for everybody, but some people like it. So we started to do it and we wanted to talk a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes of running the restaurant because this place is chaotic and it's
yeah.
it's
oh,
funny.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Too much.
If you let it bother you, it'll bother you. But if you find the humor in it, it's fucking funny.
Yep.
So we started
Yeah,
to
it
tell
is.
the stories, and we're doing it with Steve, and everybody knows Steve, and Steve is an unfiltered individual, and I love
Yeah.
Steve. My wife doesn't love Steve,
No, she doesn't.
and whatever. I'm not going to talk about that. But also, my wife was uncomfortable with the podcast because almost when you're writing comedy, you try some material, some works, some doesn't. And a lot of people that are not professional comedians will use the jokes and the punchlines that I think are the most relatable and the easiest.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
is that? Poking fun of the old lady.
Right.
Right? And so I would say some things. And first off, my wife is like a fucking saint. She's the
Yeah.
greatest
She really
person
is.
ever.
I love
so,
her.
So I was getting some blowback at home, and I don't blame her. But the other thing is, we were getting a little rough around the edges. And
That day was rough.
Steve was kicked off the property
For good.
for being, I don't even know.
Steve.
And so he came back on, and we decided to do a quick show with him, right?
Okay.
And
He
we
was
wanted to
manic.
get his perspective. And the truth of the matter is, I did not say one fucking negative thing about the people that we
No, you
upset.
did not. No.
I was more interviewing and intrigued because the truth of the matter is Steve, and I love him, and I'll tell this to his fucking face. He just sounded so deranged that day.
It was so, he was like unhinged, and we sat here with our mouths open, like, what the hell is this guy even saying right
So
now?
I
was
didn't
like,
even know what to do with it.
couldn't stop him in a
I
way.
just
It
said
was-
the best reel is just to create a montage
Right.
of him
That's
just
it.
babbling, and then
Yep.
we put in the context, huh? And
what it was.
so we were kind of making fun of him. Well, the problem is one of the things that he said, he
slipped through
slipped
the
through.
edit.
And listen, I'm not knocking on marketing people. I take full responsibility, but you have filtration systems in place. If it gets through me, it gets through her, it gets through them. I mean, shame on all of us, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it happened, and there was some bad talk about the marina and the people on the property, and I regret it.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed that it happened, and I
Very
tried to
embarrassed.
apologize, and they're not hearing it, and I don't blame them, to be honest with you. It was a shitty thing.
Yeah.
And I felt so embarrassed about it that I didn't even know that I wanted to continue it to do. We obviously
I
took
was
it down.
embarrassed about that and the other thing, and then I was just
Right.
completely embarrassed.
And so, listen, it's trial and error.
Of course.
Like, listen, I apologize. I'm not perfect. I made a mistake. Take me off the fucking cross, for the love of God. I mean, what do you want out of my life?
Please, like,
Yeah, people make mistakes.
People
man.
make mistakes.
Yeah.
We're fucking human.
Yeah.
So after a couple weeks of hiatus and trying to kind of just really think if we want to do this or not, you're our first guy, and we appreciate you because I got to tell you,
Dude.
I do love doing this.
I know.
This is fun.
This is fun.
It's
Yeah.
cool.
I love meeting people. I love
love
talking
it.
with people. I mean, everything it's fascinating to me.
And so
It's an outlet.
people at Behind the Blowhole, we made 1 year. We're not fucking going anywhere.
No, we're not.
We may make more mistakes. We're going to make more fucking mistakes. Trust me.
Always.
I'm a
Always.
fucked up person.
We know that.
So if you like what you hear, share us out there. Jonathan Mark, follow him. How do
Thank
they?
you.
Is there a website exactly? Where do we go?
Yeah, so you go to my Instagram at Jonathan Mark Medium. My website is jonathanmark.net. And yeah, I would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, 100%.
I hate to be morbid, and we'll probably cut this out, but like I would get on the wait list now because if somebody dies, then you'll at least
Get
be
on the wait
closer to
list
getting
now.
to see him.
Oh, Jesus. But this
yeah.
Well, thanks for coming,
Yeah,
Ashley. Thanks for bringing him.
Of course.
Fuck you all.
Of course.
Peace. Life is good. Good shit when you die. Thank you. Goodbye.